ਟੋਰਾਂਟੋ ਦੇ ਪੂਰਬੀ ਹਿੱਸੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਥਿਤ ਕੈਮੀਕਲ ਪਲਾਂਟ ਉੱਤੇ ਹੋਏ ਧਮਾਕੇ ਕਾਰਨ ਇੱਕ ਵਿਅਕਤੀ ਦੀ ਮੌਤ ਹੋ ਗਈ। ਪੁਲਿਸ ਈਸਟ ਯਾਰਕ ਵਿੱਚ ਡੌਨ ਮਿਲਸ ਰੋਡ ਤੇ ਐਂਗਲਿੰਗਟਨ ਐਵਨਿਊ ਈਸਟ ਨੇੜੇ 225 ਵਿਕਸਟੀਡ ਐਵਨਿਊ ਏਰੀਆ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਿਲਟੈਕ ਕੈਮੀਕਲ ਪਲਾਂਟ ਉੱਤੇ ਹੋਏ ਧਮਾਕੇ ਦੀ ਜਾਣਕਾਰੀ ਦੇ ਕੇ ਸੱਦਿਆ ਗਿਆ। ਇੱਕ ਵਿਅਕਤੀ ਨੂੰ ਮੌਕੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਹੀ ਮ੍ਰਿਤਕ ਐਲਾਨ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਗਿਆ ਤੇ ਦੂਜੇ ਨੂੰ ਨਾਜ਼ੁਕ ਹਾਲਤ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਨੀਬਰੁਕ ਹਸਪਤਾਲ ਲਿਜਾਇਆ ਗਿਆ।
Unfortunately, we do have one confirmed deceased. We are awaiting the arrival of the coroner right now, and another one has been rushed in very critical condition to Sunnybrook. Without question, our crews were met with a significant chemical fire. It took us a while to extinguish it. These types of fires are a lot more challenging than the normal types that the public is used to. It has been reported to me that it was during a silicone process, but the specific nature of the number of compounds and the number of chemicals is still being determined as we speak. As of right now, no risk to the public, no threat. The fire is out. There is no smoke being generated, and our hazardous material teams and firefighters and senior commanders are working with the building engineers and CANU Tech Canada to determine next steps.
ਅਫਗਾਨਿਸਤਾਨ ਵਿੱਚ ਹਾਲਾਤ ਕਾਫੀ ਭਿਆਨਕ ਬਣੇ ਹੋਏ ਨੇ। ਖਾਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਔਰਤਾਂ ਦੀ ਹਾਲਤ ਕਾਫੀ ਤਰਸਯੋਗ ਹੋਣ ਜਾ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ। ਤਾਲਿਬਾਨ ਤੋਂ ਆਪਣੀ ਜਾਨ ਬਚਾ ਕੇ ਭੱਜੀ ਪੌਪ ਸਟਾਰ ਤੇ ਔਰਤਾਂ ਦੇ ਹੱਕ ਲਈ ਲੜਨ ਵਾਲੀ ਆਰਿਆਨਾ ਸਈਦ ਨੇ ਵੀ ਇਸ ਸੰਬੰਧੀ ਉੱਥੇ ਦੇ ਹਾਲਾਤਾਂ ਉੱਤੇ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕੀਤੀ। ਉਹਨਾਂ ਕਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਤਾਲਿਬਾਨ ਅਧੀਨ ਬਣਨ ਵਾਲੀ ਸਰਕਾਰ ਵਿੱਚ ਔਰਤਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਕੋਈ ਵੀ ਨੁਮਾਇੰਦਗੀ ਨਾ ਦੇਣਾ ਇਸ ਦੀ ਵੱਡੀ ਉਦਾਹਰਣ ਹੈ।
It was extremely hard. We literally, had to escape in a really, really hard situation where our car was stopped by, a Taliban checkpoint, and we passed through like 5 Taliban checkpoints at 1 o'clock at night, and then we had to walk through thousands of people, and we had to run through bullets. But eventually we were, one of those lucky ones who actually made it out. But my heart still bleeds for the thousands of people who were left behind there, and they're still waiting to be rescued. I mean, it's absolutely crazy and scary to me. I mean, you can see, a bunch of terrorists are trying to take over the government. For example, the head of Interior Ministry today is a very dangerous, member of the Haqqani group who were linked to Al-Qaeda before. And at least another 3 more members of Haqqani groups are the heads of other ministries in Afghanistan, and they're all linked to Al-Qaeda. And this is quite concerning and quite scary for all of us, and it's not acceptable for any as Afghans out there. And I mean, in this new government, people don't even have anything to say in it. They're just imposing things on people, and they are forcing them to accept it. And the most concerning thing in here for me is there is no Ministry of Women Affairs. And women are not even involved in this government. And it's quite, concerning. And I really, really hope that the international community would actually, wake up and they help Afghan people, the Afghan nation. And I hope that they do not recognize Taliban officially as the new government, because they're actually a bunch of Pakistani terrorists who have taken Afghanistan over, and they're trying to rule.
ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਵਿੱਚ ਕੋਰੋਨਾ ਦੀ ਲਹਿਰ ਦੇ ਥੋੜਾ ਥੰਮਣ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਹੁਣ ਸਰਕਾਰ ਨੇ ਪਰਦੇਸੀਆਂ ਦੇ ਆਉਣ ਲਈ ਦਰਵਾਜ਼ੇ ਖੋਲ੍ਹ ਦਿੱਤੇ ਹਨ, ਪਰ ਇਸ ਲਈ ਵੈਕਸੀਨੇਸ਼ਨ ਲਾਜ਼ਮੀ ਕੀਤੀ ਹੋਈ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਸਾਵਧਾਨੀ ਵੀ ਪੂਰੀ ਵਰਤਣੀ ਪਵੇਗੀ। ਇਸ ਲਈ ਮਾਹਿਰਾਂ ਵੱਲੋਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਵਿਚਾਰ ਵੀ ਪੇਸ਼ ਕੀਤੇ ਜਾ ਰਹੇ ਹਨ। ਦੱਸ ਦਈਏ ਕਿ ਵੈਕਸੀਨ ਨਾ ਲਗਵਾਉਣ ਵਾਲਿਆਂ ਤੋਂ ਕੋਵਿਡ ਫੈਲਣ ਤੇ ਖੁਦ ਸੰਕਰਮਣ ਹੋਣ ਦਾ ਖਤਰਾ ਵਧੇਰੇ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ, ਜਿਸ ਲਈ ਅਜਿਹੀਆਂ ਪਾਬੰਦੀਆਂ ਲਾਜ਼ਮੀ ਕੀਤੀਆਂ ਗਈਆਂ ਹਨ।
I think there's been so much privation, so many people who need to travel and who haven't, who felt that they shouldn't because they were told not to. I think it's a reasonable thing to do to allow that. I think the rule that people need to be vaccinated and they need to have a negative test, I think this is great. I would, if it were up to me, do it slightly differently because people can forge credentials. There isn't one standard way of doing things. We've standardized passports internationally. We haven't standardized vaccine certificates. I would do a finger prick antigen test to see if people have antibodies. And it's a very, very fast, easy, cheap test. I would do that. I think then you know when you're letting people in that they have protection. But in principle, I like the idea of opening borders and doing it carefully. Well, the fourth wave is being driven by people who are not vaccinated. And so, to me, open borders are fine if everyone is demonstrably vaccinated. Not that they claim to be, not that they pretend to be, but they are demonstrably vaccinated, which is, again, why I would like to actually do a blood test, a simple finger prick test. So as long as we're careful and we're not letting people in who are not vaccinated, I don't see a problem. Well, this is a very different story. I think borders are a lot safer than schools at the moment. And I say that because we are not requiring teachers to be vaccinated. I think any teacher who goes to work and isn't vaccinated is taking an enormous risk and putting their students at risk, but we're not requiring it. We're not requiring that students over 12 be vaccinated. Again, creates a huge amount of risk. And I think what's on a lot of people's minds, of course, is the large gatherings of kids under 12 who cannot be vaccinated. That's dangerous. That's just risky right there because, again, how super spreader events happen is when you have a lot of unvaccinated people in one place. So there's a lot of concern out there. I totally understand why. Well, schools that have the means, and by which I mean private schools, have been I think, doing a lot with ventilation. I think public schools have been doing not nearly as much. The province has provided free rapid tests of private schools and none at all to public schools, which I think has everybody baffled. So I think equalizing that would be a good start. But also, I'd like parents to check in with their kids about their mask habits. Does the mask fit well? Do they understand? The mask is now to protect kids from other people. It's not so much to protect other people from them. This is different than it was last year. Is the mask being worn well? Does it fit properly? Do kids really understand what an important piece of safety equipment this is? Because once kids are out of sight of the parents,
ਪਿਛਲੇ ਦਿਨੀ ਓਨਟਾਰੀਓ ਲੰਡਨ ਵਿੱਚ ਪ੍ਰਧਾਨ ਮੰਤਰੀ ਜਸਟਿਨ ਟਰੂਡੋ ਉੱਤੇ ਕੁਝ ਪ੍ਰਦਰਸ਼ਨਕਾਰੀਆਂ ਵੱਲੋਂ ਪੱਥਰ ਸੁੱਟੇ ਗਏ ਸਨ, ਜਿਸ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਸਿਆਸਤ ਵਿੱਚ ਨਵੀਂ ਚਰਚਾ ਛਿੜੀ ਹੋਈ ਹੈ। ਇਸ ਹਮਲੇ ਦੀ ਭਾਵੇਂ ਹਰ ਪਾਸੇ ਨਿੰਦਿਆ ਹੋਈ ਹੈ, ਪਰ ਨੈਨੋਸ ਰਿਸਰਚ ਨੇ ਬਾਰੀਕੀ ਨਾਲ ਇਸ ਮਾਮਲੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਨਿਰੀਖਣ ਕੀਤਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਇਸ ਹਮਲੇ ਦਾ ਲਿਬਰਲਸ ਪਾਰਟੀ ਉੱਤੇ ਕੀ ਪ੍ਰਭਾਵ ਪਿਆ ਹੈ।
Well, I think it's had an impact on the Liberal campaign and the Liberal messaging for sure. You know, these folks are basically on a mission to defeat Justin Trudeau and to disrupt his campaign. And at least in terms of disrupting the campaign, they're doing a pretty good job because he's talking about them. Actually, the other party leaders are talking about the protesters too. So they basically they're punching above their weight. And you know, it cuts both ways. For Trudeau, it gives him a platform to point at what I'll call for many Canadians completely unacceptable behavior. I think Canadians are good with protests, but as soon as it becomes anything that's close to violence, that's where the line is drawn for many Canadians. So I don't think Canadians had any problem with those individuals coming out and protesting any political party leader, including Justin Trudeau. But as soon as you start throwing gravel or whatever, you cross that line. But it's been a distraction for Trudeau. He's not been able to get his message out. And these folks are punching above their weight. These people that are, what I'll say, vaccine hesitant or not vaccine supportive and want to have their freedom of choice. Well, Trudeau still has a numeric advantage. We have him at 29.9 among Canadians who would prefer him as Prime Minister, followed by Aaron O'Toole closely on his heels at 26.3, Singh at 21.1, Bernier 4.8, Blanchette 2.9, enemy Paul, the Green Party leader, at 1.9, and about 13% are undecided as to who they would prefer as Prime Minister. My view is that you could probably do that once. You can't do that more than once in a campaign because then that's potentially a pattern of behavior. So expect Trudeau to focus on O'Toole and also to focus on Blanchette, the leader of the Bloc Québécois, because in Quebec, which is a critical battleground for the Liberals, it's between the Liberals and the Bloc. And I would expect him to be nice towards Jagmeet Singh because, you know, those NDP supporters, he's going to need Trudeau, if he wants to have a chance to win any type of majority government or strong government, he's going to need some New Democrats to swing into the red column. So
ਓਨਟਾਰੀਓ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਕੂਲ ਖੁੱਲ੍ਹ ਚੁੱਕੇ ਹਨ, ਪਰ ਵਿਦਿਆਰਥੀਆਂ ਦੇ ਮਾਪਿਆਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਹਜੇ ਵੀ ਕਾਫੀ ਚਿੰਤਾ ਹੈ। ਓਨਟਾਰੀਓ ਦੇ ਚੀਫ ਮੈਡੀਕਲ ਅਧਿਕਾਰੀ ਡਾਕਟਰ ਮੁਰੇ ਨੇ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਤਮਾਮ ਸਵਾਲਾਂ ਦਾ ਜਵਾਬ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਤੇ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਕਿ ਕਰੋਨਾ ਦੀ ਚੌਥੀ ਲਹਿਰ ਕਿਵੇਂ ਤੇ ਕਿਸ ਨੂੰ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਪ੍ਰਭਾਵਿਤ ਕਰੇਗੀ।
Just in terms of the vaccine for 5 to 11s, we have heard from the federal government that that's being reviewed, that we may get information in early winter regarding possible rollout for that population. So I'm looking hopeful that we'll have it during that time frame. In terms of mandating the reporting of vaccination, what we've done is we've worked with our health units and our school boards and have created an electronic solution to minimize the burden on parents on reporting, so that now we'll be able to get an electronic record of who is in what class in what school. That will get integrated into our COVAX tool, so we will understand at a local public health level how many children are immunized in each classroom and in each school. So this is a seamless electronic means that will allow public health to understand who's vaccinated in what classroom and what proportion of schools have high levels of protection. So we've gone beyond the requirement of mandating a parent to report to making it seamless and electronic, and we've informed the Privacy Commission regarding this. This is a real-time means by which public health will understand risk in any school. We will have COVID-19 activity in schools across Ontario. That's natural. It reflects what's going on in the communities. But now we have this additional electronic availability that enables public health to understand in almost real time the risk in any classroom. So I think that is the best solution in a short time frame that we could achieve, and I think it meets the needs of public health, it meets the needs of parents as well as school boards.